A company does not always need to build its own consumer brand to create extraordinary growth. Between FY21 and FY25, PG Electroplast revenue increased from around 700 crore rupees to nearly 4,800 crore rupees, which is a seven-fold rise in just 4 years. Its net profit grew even faster, rising from merely 12 crores to approximately 288 crores or 24 times. As the business transformed, the share price also moved from 40 rupees in 2021 to nearly 1000 rupees in 2025. So the question is, what changed inside PG Electroplast that allowed it to grow so rapidly, and what can investors learn from this transformation? To understand this case study, let us first take an example of a washing machine and understand the activities involved in manufacturing a consumer durable product. The first activity is product design and development. The company studies customer needs and decides the product's features, capacity, appearance, and price range. It then develops different designs, create prototypes, and test them before finalizing the product. The second activity is physical manufacturing. A washing machine contains several parts such as plastic molded components, sheet metal structures, motors, pumps, valves, wirings, and electronic controllers. Some of these parts are manufactured internally while others are purchased from suppliers. All the components are then assembled, tested for quality, and then prepared for dispatch. The third activity includes customer-facing functions. The brand decides the product's pricing, positioning, marketing, and distribution. Together, these activities form the value chain of a consumer durable product. Before FY20, PG Electroplast was mainly involved in manufacturing selected components. A consumer durable brand first would place an order to PG, then PG would manufacture parts such as plastic molded components or PCB assemblies and then give it to some another company who would then assemble the final product. But later, PG expanded its role. The brand would provide the product requirements and PG would help design the product, manufacture some parts, procure the remaining parts from another manufacturer, and then assemble the complete appliances, test it, and deliver it to the brand. So, PG was therefore no longer only a component supplier, it was becoming a complete product manufacturer. But the question is, how did this change improve the company's revenue and return on capital? Let's understand this through 3 points. Point number 1. PG earned more revenue from each customer. Earlier, PG supplied only selected components to consumer durable brands. It therefore earned revenue from only a small part of the product's total manufacturing value. For example, even if the washing machine was sold by the brand for rupees 20,000, PG might have supplied components worth only 2,000 to 3,000 rupees. The remaining components were procured, assembled, and testing were handled by the brand or some other manufacturer. But once PG began manufacturing the complete product, it could undertake product design, tooling, component manufacturing, procurement, assembly, and testing. The same customer who earlier purchased components worth only rupees 2,000 to 3,000 per machine could now purchase a complete manufactured product worth perhaps 12,000 to 15,000 rupees from PG. Therefore, PG could generate much more revenue from the same customer. Its revenue could grow much faster than the customer's actual unit sales because PG was capturing a large share of manufacturing value of every product. Point number 2. PG used its existing capabilities more effectively. PG did not enter complete product manufacturing from a blank starting point. It already had a plastic molding machines, an in-house tool room, engineering teams, supplier relationships, manufacturing facilities, and quality control systems. Earlier, these capabilities were used mainly to manufacture selected components. But after PG expanded into complete product manufacturing, many of the same assets and capabilities could support a much larger amount of revenue. The company did need some additional investment in assembly lines, testing equipment, product development, manufacturing capacity, but it did not have to build every capability from the beginning. As production increased, PG could also spread its factory cost, employee cost, and other fixed expenses over larger volume of the sales. This improved the utilization of its assets and increased the capacity turnover of the business. And point number 3, PG efficiently managed the higher working capital requirement. Moving from components to complete product manufacturing naturally require more working capital. Earlier, PG needed to hold inventory mainly for the components it manufactured, but once it started supplying complete appliance, it also had to purchase and hold motors, electronics, metals, and several other inputs. It then had to assemble the product, keep the finished appliance until dispatch, and wait for the customer to make payment. As a result, the amount of money tied up in the inventory and receivables increased sharply. However, PG partly managed this burden in 2 ways. First, it collected payments from the customers somewhat faster relative to the sales, and second, it received much more credit from the suppliers. Supplier credits allowed PG to purchase raw materials immediately but make the payments later. This reduced the amount of additional capital that PG itself had to invest in working capital. So to summarize, from FY21 to FY25, PG Electroplast net profit grew approximately 24 times. The company achieved this by earning more revenue from each customer, using its existing manufacturing capabilities more intensively, spreading fixed cost over larger volumes, and partly financing its higher working capital requirements through supplier credit. In simple terms, the additional profit generated by the business was much higher than the additional capital invested. And that is why PG Electroplast return on capital improved as the company moved from manufacturing selected components to manufacturing complete consumer durable products. This brings me to the key lessons that can be learned from this case study. Lesson number 1. Understand where the company sits in the value chain. When a company reports unusually high revenue growth, investors should not immediately conclude that industry demand or market share has increased by the same amount. Sometimes the company has simply expanded the number of activities it performed for the customers. PG Electroplast initially supplied selected components to the consumer durable brands, but later it began supplying complete manufactured products. This allowed the company to capture a larger part of the customer's manufacturing expenditure. Lesson number 2. Judge business model migration through incremental return on capital. Moving closer to the final product may increase revenue significantly, but revenue growth alone does not prove that business has improved. If operating profit increases faster than the capital employed, then the migration is creating economic value. But if revenue increases mainly because the company is purchasing and billing more raw materials, while profit and cash flow remain weak, the transformation may create scale without creating attractive returns. Therefore, never evaluate business model migration through revenue growth alone. Evaluate it through incremental profit, capital turnover, and cash generation. And lesson number 3. Examine how growth is being financed. Rapid growth in complete product manufacturing usually consumes working capital. The company must procure more components, carry more inventory, and wait for customers to make payment. This increases the requirement of working capital. But if company is managing that working capital incremental efficiently, then that growth is creating value for the shareholders. So to conclude this video, PG Electroplast journey shows that the business growth becomes more meaningful when a company expands its role in the value chain and earns more from every customer. But moving closer to the final product creates value only when the additional profit grows faster than the additional capex and working capital requirement. For investors, the real lesson is to look beyond the revenue growth and ask how has that change inside the business, how that change affects capital efficiency, and whether the improved returns can survive across the cycle.